might make you sing it. Don't threaten me with a good time. I'm ready. You want to
All right, 3,
count me down.
2, 1.
Hello, everybody. Joseph Reed with Singing News and Singing News Radio. I am here with Debra Schultz. We are in our beautiful studio in the gorgeous LeConte Center in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. The Great Smoky Mountains. We're at the National Quartet Convention 2023. Thank you so much for joining us. Debra, hi there.
Hey, how are you?
You know, we recently met at the Ark Encounter.
Yes, we did.
You sang there, and you have such a sweet presence.
Thank you.
And you're so kind, and you sang so well.
You're so nice.
Well, yes, I am. God made at least one of them.
I love the Lord. I love Him with all my heart.
You know, you've been involved in ministry for a long time.
A long time.
When did you get started in ministry? Were you born and raised in church?
Well, you know how that goes. Old story. I've been singing since I was knee high. Love music, and started following my dreams in the late '80s. And Anthony Berger produced a couple projects for me, and things were going really good. And my husband got very ill, and for 15 years I laid my music down and co-pastored with him. And doors started opening after Bob passed 6 years ago. And after he passed, was like doors began to open, and I thought, my goodness, Lord, I'm too old.
I'm sorry. Do we have audio on your end?
Yes, I do. Do you not?
I lost it for a minute. I'm so sorry.
You're fine. We're fine.
I've got my end muted because
I mean,
it's live.
I think the wireless went out here for a second. So I'm afraid it might have cut some of that.
Okay.
So we'll start over.
Start back.
Okay.
I think it'd be safe. You know, I'm kind of paranoid now.
Okay.
Oh, I can't.
So sorry.
Okay. We'll think it's
We're gonna pretend
We're
like we
gonna work
didn't
it
say any of
together.
that. Yeah.
Kindred spirits.
Crazy. Y'all ready, friends?
We're ready.
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. I'm Joseph Reed with Singing News, coming to you from the Singing News Studios in the LeConte Center in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. It is the National Quartet Convention 2023. It's an exciting week. Some call it the greatest week in Southern gospel music. I can't disagree with that. It's where a lot of Southern gospel music fans and artists come together. And some of us only see each other at this event every year because we're all so busy. We're scattered around everywhere, and it's like a big family reunion. And my special guest right now is Debra Schultz. Debra, I met her at the Ark Encounter just a few months ago, and you sang for us so beautifully there. And it was a great crowd. You sang at the Noah's Village stage, and then you sang at the Answer Center.
I did.
And everybody just enjoyed you so much.
Thank you so much. I enjoy what I do.
Well,
What the world needs now is love. That old pop song. Isn't that so true?
that's right.
That's what the world needs. Love.
The world needs love. The Bible says the greatest of all the great things, the greatest is love.
One another as I have loved you.
And you've practiced that your
I
whole
try
ministry.
I love him.
Tell me about how you were raised.
Well, I was raised in God-loving family, God-fearing family. Been singing since I was just tiny. Loved it with all my heart. I would sit and watch, Jubilee, Jubilee.
Gospel
And
singing,
the
Jubilee.
piano was on the other side of the room, but I put myself right at the coffee table, and I played,
Did you
and I
really?
sang with Jubilee the whole time. So I've always loved it.
Did you have any favorite artist on the Jubilee that you remember?
Rex Nealon looks just like my dad.
Really?
They look that nose, Rex had that nose.
Yes.
Well, I have that nose too, if you look real You don't have to look too hard. But anyway.
She's got Rex's nose.
I got Rex's nose. But him and my daddy favored so much. And I guess that would be my favorite.
I think that's interesting how someone like that, you can be drawn to them too.
Yeah.
They resemble someone
And my
special.
daddy sang bass. And,
Oh yeah.
we just sang going to grandma's on Sunday afternoon, family harmony,
And you started singing at a young age.
I did. Sang with my family. I did trio with my sisters, and then I went solo. And I worked with Anthony Berger. He produced a couple of my projects in the late '80s.
Wow.
And
That's
then
great.
in the '90s,
I didn't know that.
things were happening great, and I was charting. I charted with Singing News many years ago, and my husband got very ill, and I laid my music down because he's a pastor, and I laid my music down and I co-pastored with him. So he passed 6 years ago. And life has been different, very different. I had to find out who I was, because after 43 years of marriage,
Wow.
you know, who am I?
Right.
And so now I know who Debra Schultz is, and the Lord started opening doors, and I put my foot in every one.
Well, when you're involved in ministry, for instance, with your husband, and you're so dedicated and loyal to that, you spent over 4 decades involved in that.
Mhm.
It's such a big part of your life.
Yes.
But when it becomes his time and you grieve that,
Mhm.
which I can't imagine what that was like for you. But God is not just finished with you because that part of your life has changed.
Exactly.
And so I love how he can just reposition ministries like he has yours. And now here you are, just so happy, and God has continued to bless you, and you're focusing a lot more on your music these days.
It is my music. That's what he called me to do.
Mhm.
And I minister too. I do a lot of women's conferences. I was at one, and there was this lady, and she was just so brokenhearted.
Mhm.
And I found out that her husband had passed, and I said, "Oh, when did he pass?" And they said, 4 years ago. Something rose inside me.
Mhm.
And I said, "Can I speak to you?" And I set her down on the altar, and I said, "Honey, I'm going to tell you, your husband's dead. He's not coming back. They tell me he was a big pillar in this church. It's time for you to get up and do what God has called you to do, because when you finish your work, you're going to go be with him."
Mhm.
So my advice to her was, get up and get your work done,
Mhm.
so you can go on home. So that's kind of what the Lord told me, sitting by the seashore one morning. I was brokenhearted, and I sat there and I said, "Lord, I am not moving out of this spot until I get a breakthrough." And that very morning, I got it, and I hit the road running. I am his. He is my husband. I was laying in bed one night, and I said, you know, there's scripture that he would be my husband. And I looked up and I said, "Lord, you said you'd be my husband. After 43 years and not having, you know, and I've not had one now, you got a big job.
Mhm.
But I'll try to do everything you tell me to do." And I'm here.
He's looking for willing vessels,
That's what he wants.
people that will be sensitive to
Yes.
the Spirit, who will follow his guidance, and I think that's very important. A lot of people give God 100% of the credit, which is honorable. I went up to someone the other day and I said, you really sang so good. And they said, "Well, it's all the Lord." I said, "Well, not really, because you have to be willing.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to work through you.
Yes.
All the talent is honor to him, but without a vessel, it can't be delivered. So all glory goes to him, but we have to be vessels willing to be used for his
There's a
glory.
price to pay.
True.
I was a stay-at-home mom, and I'd get my children off to school, my husband off to work, and I would get the house cleaned up. I would go over into my music room, and I sang in a mirror for hours. Many times he'd pull in from the evening, and I would finish up. So there is a price.
Yeah. Well, now
I
you,
write. I write.
You sure do?
I do write. I have a television
Do you-
program, Come Share the Joy.
where is that at? Where can I
It's
see it?
out of Branson Gospel Television,
Mhm.
but you can find it on all social media.
Mhm.
And I
What's
just
the name of the show?
Come Share the Joy, and I simply share the joy of my salvation. If the Lord tells me to get the camera and go to the kitchen, I do a recipe. If He tells me to get up and go out to the lake near my house, I go out and you know, I live in West Virginia. It's beautiful there. I'll go out and sit at the lake.
Well, if I had a kitchen in here, I would probably, I would hope the Lord would just have you go over there
I
and
can
cook
whip
me
it.
something,
Listen,
because I'm hungry.
I'll cook for you one day. I enjoy cooking. I do that.
Well, you know, all that really helps
Yes.
you with stress, right? I cook because it's a big stress reliever for me, and it helps me feel good.
And then when you eat it, it's even bigger, right?
Oh,
It's
man.
comfort.
Isn't it great?
It becomes comfort. But I don't do a lot of cooking anymore.
Okay.
Bob's gone,
Yeah.
and the kids are grown, and everybody's busy, and Mom's busy.
Well, it's hard
Mom's
to cook
on the
for
road.
one, isn't it? Yeah. Well, tell me what it's like now as you decades later involved in ministry. Do you think that you're living your ministry right now to where it brings you the most joy since your husband passed?
It is, but what I can do and go when I want to.
Mhm.
I'm free to go whenever.
Mhm.
But I feel like, you know, I knew my calling early on. God gave me a vision years ago. And I told you made me cry. He gave me a vision years ago. And I'll know when I'm there. And I tried with every way in my power to do what I knew God wanted me to do. But it wasn't until now. It's like for such a time as this. I feel like Esther. Joseph, I feel like this is my time. And I'm gonna do everything that I can to lift up His name.
I think it's important to note that regardless of how many years you've been involved in music or ministry, regardless of how old you are, because my goodness,
Well,
you
he's
look
told me age has
fantastic.
nothing to do with it, so we won't
Well,
talk about
well,
that.
but this is a message to
Yes,
people
it
out
is.
there who think, well, I'm
They're
old
never
and
too
washed
old.
up, and you know, my spouse is not here. How am I supposed to continue? You're living proof that you can pick yourself up, that you can still focus on ministry.
And I
These are
have
great
never been
things.
so content in my entire life.
That's great. That's because you're walking the path you need to.
Absolutely.
What was it like singing at the Ark? Did you enjoy
It was,
that?
oh yeah, I love that. It was wonderful. I enjoyed the people. I enjoyed just being there. I stay in that vessel.
It's a real, for those of you who haven't seen, it's a life-size
It's
Noah's
amazing.
Ark. Yeah, it's a life-size.
Approximately 120 years this man's faith.
Mhm.
And can you imagine what all they called him and how they did him? And he continued to do what God had called him to do. And I want to be like him.
Yeah. We all need to be.
Yes.
I want you to let everyone know that's watching and listening where they can find out more about you, your music, connect with you on social media, because there's a lot of people listening who may not have heard of you before. So tell us where we can find out more about you.
You can find me at debraschultz.com. You can email me at debrad@suddenlink.net, and you can find me on all social media. I'm there. I'm easy to find.
Thank you for spending
Thank you
time
so
with me.
much.
I appreciate
I
you.
appreciate you.
And I'm praying
God
for you
bless
to
you. Thank you so
continue
much.
in the success that God has given
Yes.
you. All right. It's Debra Schultz. I'm Joseph Reed from the LeConte Center in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee for the 2023 National Quartet Convention. And we're having a good time.
Yes, we are.